There's been a wave of recent corporate mergers resulting in massive layoffs.
Now, A More Perfect Union breaks this down in a new video. Let's take a look at that.
Big corporations are giddy over an unprecedented wave of mergers and acquisitions.
M&A has been hot, continues to be hot.
An exciting year for M&A.
Shaping up to be another Merger Monday.
Merger Monday? At last we have one, and I say...
And you'd think, from what we've been told by neoliberal economists, that consolidation is good for the economy.
With this bill, the American financial system takes a major step forward towards the 21st century, one that will benefit American consumers, business, and the national economy for many years to come.
But the reality is different.
Breaking news, though, we've just learned about 230 jobs will be eliminated at Angie's List in connection with the pending merger with Home Advisor.
The papers will merge, resulting in hundreds of jobs gone.
Go ahead, Colin.
Yeah, look, I think we got a theme that we're on here, and that's bigger is not better. Bigger, in fact, may be bad, especially when it results in, kind of a influencing of the government against the benefiting real people. And certainly these mergers and acquisitions we're talking about here haven't been all that helpful to people who actually need jobs.
Well, the instincts of the neoliberal economists, as was just described in the video, are often, it's not just that they can be wrong substantively, it's the way that they're sort of the callous approach to things like consolidation is just a good example of all of how their instincts are wrong, often on two levels, the substantive level and even just on the sort of aesthetic level. The way that they talk about these things can just be so callous. I don't know what you think about that. That's kind of a different point than the job losses, but even just the way that Jim Cramer smacks the button and it says hallelujah in that video, it's like, these are people.
Hallelujah for who?
Right.
Is the question. And again, I'm going back to winners and losers here. And the winners are the stockholders or the shareholders, and the winners are the CEOs that are merging these companies and benefiting from these things. The losers are the people who are working here. Right. And that's the problem. And who's looking out for them? Who's looking out for the folks who are working to actually make these companies successful so that they are even interested in having a merger being absorbed by another company.
Yeah, and what's good for communities, right? There's an entirely another question to this. And we're talking about individuals and workers on the individual level, but a lot of this, when you have massive jobs layoffs in particular communities, well, you might say, listen, this is ultimately going to be a net benefit to society because even if it's, the CEO's net worth is increasing and his stocks are doing great, we'll pass some of that down, et cetera, et cetera. In a lot of cases, you're obliterating these communities because those jobs were a cornerstone of their local economy, and that's a huge problem. That's a problem for the neoliberal the neoliberal view of society too, because that's what starts tearing at the social fabric. When you start destroying communities and hollowing out towns, the social fabric that the neoliberal economists depend upon to benefit themselves, even that's not going to last. That is not durable. It might feel good for them right now. It's not durable in the long run. Most of them who were just absolutely disgusted by the Trump movement, by the people behind, not just Donald Trump himself, but by Donald Trump's supporters. What they see is, just nastiness and divisiveness and polarization, and they'll speak and, so angrily about these things and so sanctimoniously about these things. Well, a lot of it has to do with the way that, these massive, the hollowing out of local communities that is sometimes caused by massive layoffs and waves, what that does to people who live in communities that aren't massive cities, like the ones where a lot of those people live.
You bring up an excellent point, and the reality is they lose, right? And there's a lot of pain there. And, when we talk about, the causes for kind of this movement and domestic terrorism, it's a back of that is this economic problem, right, that everybody is experiencing in these communities like you're discussing, and even in big cities, right? There's an increasingly big break here between people who benefit in these mergers and, the workers who made these companies successful enough to even be interesting in a merger and or an acquisition. And, look, I'm a creative guy, so I kind of thrive on exploring different things, and it's really boring not to have a whole lot of choice. Who really wants that? That's right. Just, that's no fun. Who wants to just see the same thing over and over again, whether it's news or acquisition or whatever? And the fact that, Jim Cramer presses a hallelujah button and a choir sings right? Like, who are they singing for?
Yeah, it's a very outmoded approach to the economy, and I think something that the free market fundamentalists, and who, by the way, are not just conservative, there are a whole lot of people in the Democratic establishment who espouse free market fundamentalism as well, even if they mask it with a veneer of social liberalism. But at the same time, this is a what this all gets to at the end of the day is that they have this very outmoded approach to talking about people and the economic ecosystem. Actually, let's not even say the economic ecosystem. The ecosystem of the entire country is much more fragile than we realize, and that I think a lot of people who come from these ranks fully understood. And that's not to say, dismantle everything, let's, become Scandinavia, total upheaval. But pressing a hallelujah button when CEOs are making bank destroying particular communities, and I don't know what instance he was pressing that hallelujah button in. It could have been one that for some reason is going to ultimately be a benefit. I have no idea. I just saw it in that clip, but it is a good, probably not. But it is a good example of how this ecosystem is fragile. We're dealing with people, not with widgets. Mm-hmm. And as much as some folks really love free markets, that's not even you're not even doing benefit to your own worldview talking like that.
You're absolutely right, and I think the important thing is that the economic fabric that you're talking about goes along and hand with the social fabric, and
Absolutely.
These things will break down together.
Yes.
And so we're going to have to do something to take that on, and hopefully it happens here in the near future.
Well, we'll have a great show for you all on tomorrow's Rising.
That's right. We'll be back with more great guests, including an all-star panel. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and we will see you all tomorrow.
Have a great Wednesday afternoon, everyone.